Zach here, full-time reseller, and this morning's been kind of a strange start to a Monday. I was getting ready to head up to Southern Colorado to do some thrifting on my normal loop up there, but got into some pretty bad weather and several wrecks and the road was closed, so I decided to just play it safe, doubled back, turned back around, came back down to New Mexico, and I'm right outside of the thrift store that's right down the road from my house. So I'm going to start this morning with doing some thrifting here and then go around and do some other stores on my local scene, which is something I don't do enough of because my local scene's just not always that consistent. But nonetheless, sometimes when life gives you apples, you got to make apple cider. The kid in me always likes to scan through the toy section. Don't find a whole lot when it comes to old vintage toys, but something I'm sure passionate about. Definitely wish I could find more. Usually in the garage sale season is when I do a little bit better on vintage toys and games, but once in a while, if you're really looking hard, the thrift stores have them. All right, so I've been needing a new trash can, and this guy's pretty functional, and the price is only $3. So I'm gonna grab it. All right, I found these cool vintage chunky clogs. They're Skechers, which I don't usually buy a whole lot of, but if it's vintage Skechers, it's chunky, it's 90s, usually stuff like that'll sell. Now I looked these up and there was one pair on Depop, but I really couldn't find anything with a quick glance on eBay. For $3, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop them up. I think I can make a little bit of money off these. Just a basic run-of-the-mill San Antonio Shoe Company loafer. It's got a little bit of that raised wedge heel, good color, they're in good shape, they're only $3. I'm gonna go ahead and grab them. All right, so here's the haul. Just got this cool little foot pedal trash can. I'm gonna use it in my package processing room just to throw thermal label backings on. And then I went ahead and picked up these Skechers, just $3. I bet you I can probably sell these for 30 or 40 bucks. I'm gonna do a little bit more research on them, but I'll use a heck of a lot of good keywords like chunky, platform, Y2K, 90s, hip hop, streetwear, all those silly keywords to get some more attention to these guys. And then I went with the old grandma special as I showed you in there, and generally I only get about $25 to $35 off SAS shoes. These were in good condition, a decent size, and they had a wider width to them. So all in all, not a bad start to the day, even though the day's been full of some obstacles, but that's life. We just have to regroup sometimes. All right, let's see what this guy's got. All right, at the Goodwill, my fallback, Farmington, New Mexico style. See what we can find. Taking a quick glance at the electronic aisle. Not seeing a whole lot, so I'm gonna skip over to the clothing aisle. Just the clothing I find in my local market is very generic. I don't find all those really great brands like I do up in Colorado. And I imagine a lot of that's probably because the nature of where I live just doesn't have quite the wealth. And thus, the people that donate clothing don't seem to donate as nice a clothing, and that's all right. I do still occasionally find some really good garments though. I found a lot of Filson, some cool items, a lot of Patagonia and North Face still in my local area, but it is a little harder. Gotta work a little bit more for it. I found these BKE Mason thick stitch jeans, but the Mason I believe is a tapered cut, and I haven't sold too many of these. I'm more into like the Jake, the Seth, and the Tyler BKE jeans. And these are priced way up there, so there's not a whole lot of profit, but BKE jeans always sell pretty good for me. This is just one of those that's not as popular. Gonna have to think this one through. I found these 511 tactical shorts, but there's really nothing special about them, and unfortunately they are super huge in the waist, and the price really isn't there, so I'm gonna walk on them. I do like 511 tactical for the right price, but it just doesn't sell for much, so you gotta get it pretty cheap. So the first thing I ever sold on eBay was a brown peanut M&M coffee mug, and I don't deal in coffee mugs too much anymore, but anytime I see an M&M mug, it always humbles me, and it's never too late to look back at all you've done and all you've accomplished and be grateful for that and love yourself. So if you're somebody that's bad about doing that, quit being hard on yourself. Reflect and appreciate the good and the bad in your life. It'll help you. All right, so now you know why I don't thrift too much in my local scene and why I don't film a lot of content. I have been here for about 40 minutes. I've burned through every aisle possible. I have found absolutely nothing. But as I always say, consistency is your best friend when you're reselling and not giving up. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my losses here and move on to the next. So just cut my losses at my local Goodwill, and as you can see, it's a big store that just doesn't have a whole lot. And as I've probably said in past videos, I'm pretty certain that's because I live in a Tri-City area and we only have one Goodwill and several smaller thrift stores. And I think this Goodwill just gets overwhelmed by the population that comes into it and shops from it on a weekly or daily basis. And it's that reason that I thrift out of state and make the commute several days a week, 45 minutes north to Southern Colorado. It's almost a night and day difference in what I find when it comes to inventory, when it comes to the amount of inventory and the quality of inventory. And so bringing up this point is important. If you're getting into reselling and you want to do this full time and you're coming from a smaller community like me, you best make sure that you have a lot of resources to source goods from. It took me about a year to realize that if I really wanted to grow my business, I would just have to travel some in the winter months, because in the winter we don't have much for garage sales or estate sales. So I have to thrift, and thrifting is expensive where I live. But for those of you who live in a big city and have the benefit of thrifting multiple thrift stores per day, and you have that, good for you, I'm jealous. But for those that are out there that are from smaller, more rural areas, you're gonna really have to put some thought into it. So I'm just putting that out there to try to help you, because it took me a long time to realize that my local area just wasn't very substantial when it came to the flow of inventory, the consistency, and the quality of goods. And so I hope that you don't have to ever deal with that. And I hope that you have garage sales that are cheap year round and thrift stores that are in abundance. But I like to throw those things out there because my circumstances are very different than a lot of the big time resellers you see on YouTube who live in bigger cities, who can source from 7 to 10 Goodwills in a day. I definitely wish I had that, but I'm just a small guy in a big pond. So if you're liking this video and you made it this far, please reach out and hit that like button. It lets me know that I'm saying something of substance and that's worthy to you, and that I should keep doing this. So I'm gonna move on to the next joint, see what I can't come up with. Sitting outside of my next stop, and this thrift store is a non-profit. It's ran by several ladies, or I should say one in particular, who has a wolf rescue farm out of her house just north of where I live. And so they take most of the proceeds and it all goes back to supporting the wolf rescue. I don't buy a whole lot in here. Their prices are either very good or very expensive, but nonetheless, it is one of my stops, and you can never get rid of one of your stops, even as small as the store may be. You always want to be at it and be checking into these places, because once in a blue moon, I'll find something in here that's golden. And the ladies are very friendly. And as I always say, just being charismatic, having that riz, being friendly, you can't go wrong with it. It'll help you get better deals. So I'm gonna race in here and see what I can't come up on. All right, I found these UFOS recovery clogs, slides, mules, whatever you want to call them. They're only like $3. I'm gonna go ahead and scoop them. I think I can sell them for right around $30 if I get them cleaned up good enough. All right, this is a Vucini oil or vinegar gravity-fed dispenser. Pretty cool. And so I love finding stuff like this. I'm not gonna buy this to resell. I'm actually gonna buy it for myself because it's just cool. Why not? All right, so I ended up getting this guy for $5. It is LL Bean outerwear, and it's almost like a chore style shacket. And I do really good with this stuff this time of year. I only paid $5 for it. I'm thinking I could probably get 25, maybe 30 for it. And then I also got this Lollet women's puffer. I think I'm saying that right. And I was about to walk on it because it was $8, but I did look it up and there was a couple that had sold for right around 38 to 42 bucks. And so I'll keyword the hell out of it. And my jacket inventory is getting pretty low after the holiday, so I definitely am trying to buy up any decent jackets I can find. And then I did go with the OFOS recovery clogs, mules, whatever you want to call them. And then I picked up the Vucini oil pour for myself. And that's kind of the cool part about being a reseller, is all the cool junk you come across and can buy for yourself. So didn't do too bad in that thrift store. Came out with 4 items, paid $19.
happy with what I found, especially because I don't always buy much inside of that store. But the ladies are super nice, and once again, just being friendly has got me some deals. This thrift store does let me wheel and deal a little bit and haggle prices once in a blue moon. I don't try to do that a whole lot, but once in a while, if I can find something that I think maybe is worth just a little bit less, one of the ladies that works here is kind enough to oblige that deal, and so I'm grateful for that. I'm gonna go ahead and speed out and try to hit one more thrift store if I can, but if not, if you don't see me, I may stretch this into tomorrow because I just didn't find a whole lot of goods in my local scene. So we'll see what I can't come up with. If I don't find anything, like I said, we'll regroup and continue this video on tomorrow. Zach here, reseller, and I'm back at it again on my grind, being on my purpose. I'm out this morning, as I always am, looking for goods to buy to resell. These goods could be hard goods, clothing, shoes, new, used. It doesn't matter. If it has value to somebody and serves a purpose some way, some shape, or some form, I'm willing to buy it and resell it. So follow along as I go in and thrift. I'll be hitting several stores and I'll just be thrifting for several hours this morning, but I like to make these little videos and share with you the things I find. I like that give back because when I first started reselling, I was inspired by a handful of content creators on YouTube who were also successful online resellers. So I hope somebody out there is benefiting from this. If you are, hit that button, give me a like, make a comment, and watch what I come up with.
All right, I found this Carhartt duck canvas hat. I am going to skip on it. Price is too high. I see these at garage sales all the time, and they just don't sell for that much, especially used. But much respect to Carhartt, my business partner. It's the brand I sell the most of. I did, however, find this Everest Designs all wool beanie. I might go ahead and pick it up. The inventory's not that great today. It's only $5, and sell-through rate's not too bad. But beanies are easy to list and easy to store. So came across these Burton Dry Ride snowboard pants. They're in a great color. They're not in bad shape. Unfortunately, the price is very priced up, but there are 110 pairs of sold Burton Dry Ride snowboard pants and only 65 listed. So that means that it has a 169% sell-through rate. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop them up. I won't make a whole lot of money on these, but they'll sell fast. They always do. Also came across this pair of North Face snowboard pants. They're also dry vent, and they also have an incredible sell-through rate. They're also $24, which sucks. I'm gonna go ahead and scoop both these up though, because they're gonna sell quick. I've sold both of these type of pants before, and it's a no-brainer. I just hate to have to pay that much. So I like the old vintage Wranglers. I don't buy a lot of the new modern ones, but this one's got a nice geometric print. It's actually got some super pretty pearls, and it's actually in really great shape, and it's not a bad size. And it is priced down 30% off, so it's only like $3 and some change. I'm gonna grab it. I've said this in past videos, don't do a whole lot of t-shirts, but this Carhartt Force Line t-shirt is in pretty good shape. It's not a great color, size is good, price is really good. We'll go ahead and grab it. Probably can only sell for about 18, 20 bucks maybe, but it's my bread and butter for sure. They're MBT walking shoes, and I went ahead and just looked them up because MBT's a fairly well-known brand, but because they have the Gore-Tex, but once I looked them up, they really weren't worth much, and I hate cleaning used shoes, so I'm gonna skip out on these guys. Still looking for that new tin of Phase 10 dice, and it just still hasn't showed up, but it'd be nice to find some cool vintage toys. That's something I just don't find enough of. But when I do garage sales, that's where I tend to come across a lot of that stuff. But bam, that guy right there, if it works, is worth some money. All right, I've sold several of these Pac-Man Namco joystick games before, but this one is $14.99. I can find them at garage sales for like $2-3 usually, so we're gonna walk. One of my favorite solid sellers. I'm over here in the women's section looking at jackets and just came by the performance rack, and this guy looks pretty clean. The price isn't bad, so I'm gonna scoop it up. Morning.
How you doing?
Well, I'm about to be a little bit broker, but hopefully in 2 to 3 months I'll be a little bit richer.
With some pretty decent stuff. I definitely paid up, but all of these items are bread and butter for me. They're items I know will sell fast. All of them had pretty good condition. I'm not gonna have to do much cleaning on it, but I'm gonna race up the road to the next stop. It'll be the Methodist Thrift. That's one of my favorite thrift stores. It is smaller, but the prices are often a lot better. But I better boogie up there because they're just about to open.
All right, outside of Methodist Thrift, let's hope for some good finds. I was flipping through some clothing and I looked over and seen these Birkenstock clogs, so I raced over here and looked them up. They're only $5. They need cleaned up a little, but I'm not gonna pass on Birkenstock. Found these Ariat Powerline work boots or Powerman work boots. They are composite toe. They're doing a little bit of cleaning, but they're only 15 bucks, and I think I could sell them for probably $65 to $80, maybe even a little bit more. So I'm gonna grab them. These Hoka Clifton 9s, they are a little dirty. They're definitely priced up, but I can hit them with some spray and wash, soak them overnight, wash them in the washing machine, let them dry outside, and I probably could sell them for $35 to maybe $45. So don't mind paying up, like I said earlier. Just got to be a really great brand with a good sell-through rate. Came across these Fry leather women's boots, but oddly enough, I have the same pair already and I haven't sold them. And the ones I have are in better condition than these. These are priced at $20, and I'm just not gonna pay it for something I already have. Fry leather's good though. Keep an eye out for their purses, their shoes. It's good stuff, but these are just too beat up for the cost. And these Alakai Chuka boots, but after looking up the model, they just don't sell that good, so I'm gonna pass on them. I've been saying this a lot in past videos, that I don't wanna be selling shoes anymore because I'm tired of cleaning them.
But at the end of the day, it's hard to leave money on the table, and when I see shoes that I know will sell, even if I do have to clean them, I'll go ahead and pick them up. And while I've had a tremendous amount of success with my reselling in just the short time I've been doing it, I don't feel like I'm completely to the point where I can give up sourcing shoes. And some of that's probably because I have a hard time in the winter months just sourcing enough items to keep my death pile nice and heavy. And that's a really important thing, is that you have a lot of inventory to always be listing, and that you can always be consistent with the platforms you're listing on, because many of those platforms are generated or ran by algorithms, and so they can definitely sense when you're consistent with listing. And so shoes is definitely something that I just can't give up just yet, but gotta be a little humble sometimes. So I'm gonna go ahead and race down to New Mexico. I'm definitely gonna probably stop at the thrift store very near my house. Got a little bit of time traveling to do. If you have made it this far, please hit that like button, make a comment, give me a hard time if I walk past something of value, or if you just think my videos are cool, or even if you think they're silly, I'm good with that. So I appreciate y'all watching.